All right, here's the rig I was trying to explain to you. Here's the pulley panel. You got your weight, and there's your bait and your weight going out to the water together, and so when the bait hits the water, it comes off. So for the purposes of casting, you want to have your weight and your weight and your bait. For long distances, you want to have your weight and your bait close together. So now I made this long of a leader. Not really a leader, this is just part of the rig actually. The leader is probably a foot from that knot to that swivel right there. That's maybe a foot and a few inches. But for the purpose of casting, to get out there some distance, you want your weight and your bait together. So here's what the rig looks like. Weight, bait, comes up. There's where your leader knot is to your swivel. Then you have another knot going up to the pulley system, which is this swivel here, and then back down that line right there to the weight. Okay, so here's what it looks like. So here's what the rig looks like going through the air. Let me see if I can get a better backdrop here. Here's the rig going through the air, and you tie your main line off here to the swivel. Okay, there's the pulley coming down to your leader knot on your swivel, down to your weight and your bait. I use the beads here just to protect the knots. That's all that is. You really don't have to have it, but you know, it does help if you got like a, you know, fighting a fish that's basically got your, the knot of your leader up to the swivel here. You probably want a bead to protect that. You don't have to have it. I do it because I want to. So again, the whole rig, weight, bait. The weight has like a arm on it. The rig that I make is part of the pulley panel rig. So you put your bait on that arm, and so when you cast, they're both going out together. See what I'm saying? Sorry for the backdrop. But that's what it looks like, going out through the air. And then when it hits the water, it separates. So when it's in the water column now, here's a different story, or another part of this rig. When it's in the water column, let's say we're in the water now, this weight just hit. You come up, you're about like 2 foot, you can make it, 2 foot's probably the maximum amount of you want to be off the bottom with this rig. Then you come to your swivel, and then you see you got like maybe a foot and a half. If you got like a 2 foot from your weight to the where you're going to tie your rig off at, you want to go half of that on your hook. See the weight. So now when this hits the water and this the hook separates, what's going to happen is this much leader, which is I'd say about a foot, is going to be in the current, a foot above the bottom, while the weight stays on the bottom. So if the current is really strong and your weight's being carried, let's say in the James River, when you cast an 8 ounce out, let's say you cast it out at 12 o'clock, if that current is going, you know, full speed either in or out, a tide going in or out either way, fully, it'll carry an 8 ounce sinker from, let's say, 12 o'clock on over to about 5, 6 o'clock. So the cool thing about this is while the current's dragging your weight and bait on this rig, still your bait will be about a foot above the bottom. It won't be dragging with the weight. If it is dragging with the weight, and let's say, you know, you got like a fish finder rig to where the weight and the bait are right near one another, maybe separated by maybe 2 inches, maybe an inch or so, what's happening there is as your weight's traveling the bottom with the current, that hook can easily grab whatever's on that bottom. So I mean, yeah, you may get distance, but you can get that same distance with this rig, and plus your hook is not dragging the bottom with the fish finder rig does. So you're more susceptible with a fish finder rig to actually dragging the bottom with your hook and getting hung up and losing the whole rig. This way, I would say if you have a fish finder rig and you're in the river and the current's strong, your chances of getting hung up, if there's structure down there, are high. I would say if there's if you're fishing a structured area that's, you got a lot of snags on previously, your percentages, like for example where I fish at, there's a high percentage, maybe I'd say 50 to 60, 75% of getting hung up. With this rig here, your hook is off your weight is on the bottom, but your hook is about a foot above in the current, so it's not on the bottom. So when this fish takes this hook here, he goes through this line here, he pulls on this pulley, and what he does when he pulls on the pulley rig, he pulls the weight off the bottom. So he grabs it, he runs. When he's running, he's pulling this up through the pulley system, and so then your weight and your bait are all off the bottom, and all you're fighting is the fish. It's a really cool rig. It's fairly simple to make. You know, it's not difficult. And in my opinion, it is a lot better than a fish finder rig, which is stuck on the bottom. But this way here, you're off the bottom. All right.